All right, we're off to the races. Thanks for joining. We're gonna give some people some time to hop on here. Today, I just thought I'd share with you some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way using ChatGPT, so you can get an understanding of what we're actually doing with ChatGPT and the various other apps that actually exist. Thank you for joining. Hello. Yep. Don't call me sir. I'm Dan the man. So I'm Dan Feliciano, OpEx90. We do online Lean Six Sigma training and certification. I wrote one of the better of the strategy bots that's on ChatGPT. You can find it on ChatGPT. It's absolutely fantastic. And I've been going through and doing these live streams about skills that are going to be needed in the future and how I think AI is such an important aspect of anything we do going forward. AI and automation, we know, is actually coming in and doing, a great job of taking on roles that are rules-based driven or decision-making roles or something that you can look up in the manual. And I know governments haven't really embraced it just yet, but I'm really excited to see what governments and public sector organizations actually do with these AI agents and chats and chatbots to drive down our costs, right? I think all of us agree we're paying way too much taxes, and there's a solution here that is just going to be just as good as anything else. So again, what are the skills that are going to be required? I sound like a broken record, but we need to hit on this, right? Critical thinking skills. Your data research. Do a search anywhere. What skills are demand in the age of AI and automation, right? And you're going to find that Lean Six Sigma will basically cover a lot of those skills. So you hear critical thinking. Everyone says they have critical thinking skills, but we don't. We can do a quick test. I shared some thoughts with you on how to do a quick test on people's critical thinking skills, and I'm interested in hearing your results. Complex problem solving, as usual, complex problem solving is a highly in demand skill now. People have gotten progressively worse, in my opinion, at solving problems. They'll jump onto a pet solution that they want to put in place, and that becomes their problem solving. They're defensive when you ask them for, what route, how did they evaluate their problems. So we're living in this age of where everybody's offended, and it's in hampering our ability to solve problems. Data literacy, and that includes statistical thinking, is hugely important, right? You get those clowns that when they give you your report every day, they're just looking at averages, right? Average doesn't do me any good. No one experiences the average. I need more meat and potatoes on that. So we're looking for data literacy, and that includes statistical thinking about our data. Data analysis is huge. You might say, hey, you know what? I'm an executive. I'm senior. I'm a senior level person. I don't have to deal with that. I shouldn't be doing data analysis. Well, you should be checking the numbers, right? And if you're not a good data analyst, you can't do that. Innovation is going to be key. Now, I think there's a huge opportunity to innovate and use chat using these various large language models, all these agents that are coming out now to help us innovate and understand things and understand our data. So again, I think there's many, many jobs and careers out there that are going to be just wiped out by Chat GPT and the various other large language models that actually exist because they can do them better, they can do them faster, they can do them at a lower cost. And people say, "Oh, Dan, but the data, you can't trust AI, you can't trust any of that stuff." Well, how many of your employees are walking out with all your files on their disk? How many employees are calling out for a long weekend, right? I'm giving, give me a break. There's going Chat GPT will go down, Claude will go down, all those AI models will go down, but, don't let that fool you, right? We're not digging ditches with spoons, like I say, A lot of people would have thrown out dump trucks and bulldozers and bucket loaders, sticking with, digging ditches with spoons, and that's not what we're about. Today, what I wanna cover, though, is some quick little things I think you're going to be shocked that AI can do and AI can do well. And in particular, we're gonna use Chat GPT, but I might also flip on over and try Claude, right? By Anthropic. Claude is a great AI model. There's just not one AI model out there. I can name a handful right off the top of my head that I use for various purposes and reasons. But today I just wanted to touch base on, look, you know, doing statistical analysis. A lot of people will freak out over it and not really understand what to do. But we can use the various tools out there, such as ChatGPT, to help us do that. We can, if we have the right prompt, right? And that's the other thing. Dan, I tried with the large language models; they suck. Well, show me the prompt that you use. It's probably the prompt and the instructions that you gave it that really suck, right? What I've found is when you write a decent prompt, you get a decent response, and you can even ask it to prompt you in return and ask you for greater detail. So, this isn't going to be about how to write great prompts. Um, if you want to check out a great prompt that I wrote, go to the Stratabot, or Strategy Bot. Just like type into Chat GPT, um, in the GPT sections, which are pre-programmed bots, OpEx90, and you'll find my bot in there and give it a shot. That bot is fantastic. I'm working on the second, 2 add-ons to it, and you're gonna be shocked at the strategic assessment that thing does. It's just freaking mind-blowing. People absolutely love it. Makes me so proud, to get to read the comments and have, people talk to me about it. So there's all sorts of, little bots out there like that that we can use, but we're gonna talk about dropping in some data. We're gonna drop some test data, and I'm gonna demonstrate to you, and, we'll look at the warts. This may not work out perfectly well. We're gonna do a dry run, so what I did is I created a script, and already like a little prompt, so we don't, you don't have to watch my typing. My typing's awful, right? So you don't have to watch me type. So we're gonna enter a prompt in, and the prompt is going to ask us for some descriptive statistics, right? So, hey, you know, can you provide us with some descriptive statistics about the data that I'm putting in here, right? Some basic analysis, and some of you might freeze already, and it's a tragedy. If you're already thinking, "Oh, man, this has me on edge." Remember the skills that are required in this new age, right? Critical thinking, complex problem solving, data literacy, which includes statistical thinking, data analysis, right? If you don't have those skills and you're a meme critical thinker, you're screwed. You're gonna be screwed. So let's do this. I am going to grab a prompt that I already wrote in some data. I'm gonna share it with you. I'm gonna grab this. Give me a second. I'm gonna share my screen with you, the Chat GPT screen, and I'm going to plop that data in there, and then we're gonna interact with the data. We're going to have some fun with the data, right? We'll try to do a histogram, right? Supposedly, Chat GPT's ability to create graphs and interpret graphs has improved. Maybe do a little box plot, right? I know, since you're all great critical thinkers, since you're all great complex problem solvers, since you're all data literate, you know what a histogram is already. You know what a box plot is, right? You know what individual's moving range chart is. You know how to do a hypothesis test, right? Because you're all critical thinkers. So let's get into this. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to have some fun here. Share my screen. We're going to open that up. We're going to open up the Chat GPT window. Bada bing. So here we go, folks. This is Chat GPT 4.0. If you don't have a subscription to this and you're not learning how to use this, what a disjustice you're doing to yourself. This is absolutely a needed skill today, as is writing, as is as in, using Excel or logging in and using a search engine. If you're already like, I'm not gonna invest in this, it's tragic. If you're not going to invest in yourself, why should someone invest in you? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna paste my chat bot. I already have my, prompt written, and you're gonna get to take a look at it. So here's what I entered in for my prompt. Down here, folks, you're looking at the wrong place. Look down here in this orange. Perform a descriptive statistical analysis of the data below. Fairly simple prompt. Include mean, median, mode, sum, standard deviation, and let's see if ChatGPT knows what that means, right? The standard deviation, variance range, interquartile range, median, 95% confidence interval of the mean, and test the data for test the data for a normal distribution. Now, to see if it's normally distributed. I'm going to copy and control C. I'm getting rid of create the histogram. Let's just see what it does now. Now, if you're a data-driven decision thinker and decision maker like you claim to be, most of you, you will understand what all these metrics are, right? Because this is how we get the data-driven, right? Averages don't tell us anything. So I'm going to hit go, and let's see what happens. ChatGPT is thinking. I know it went down the other day. I survived the outage. I hope you did, but it's going to take some time to think. This is typically the prime time of ChatGPT and the users on it. So it's going to take a little longer than usual. And I have it doing some calculations. It's just not going out and bringing back data. Lo and behold, look at this. It's bringing back some fantastic information. And I don't know if this is actual, if this data is factual or not. You know what? I'm going to have to grab this data real quick. I should have done this in advance, and I'm gonna plop it into my absolute newest and most favorite statistical analysis package called Data Tab, right? Data Tab is a great program. I'm just gonna share the screen with you. So I'm gonna take that same raw data that we used, and I'm plopping it into Data Tab. Stop sharing this screen um, and go to data tab. I'm gonna stream a different. Uh, Here's data tab. You're gonna see it in a second. I took that same exact data. I dropped it into data tab. One of the easiest to use statistical packages. Let's calculate the mean, median, mode, on the standard deviation, the variance, the interquartile range. Let's grab that. Let's also take a look at the 95% confidence interval of the mean. Test it for normal distribution. I'm just going to take a quick look here. The data is just barely normally distributed. There's the histogram. Mean, median 18.2, 18.1, 18. Great. Looking looking good. I'm going to go back in and share. Let's go see what ChatGPT came up with. We're going to compare and contrast. You have this memorized, folks? Because I do. So let's go back into ChatGPT and share a different screen. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to my Chat GPT. Give me a second, folks. Hang on. Here's what Chat GPT came out with. Look at that. That is absolutely amazing. Here is the descriptive statistics for the data you're looking for. It provided let me check those answers. Yep, it provided the right answers for us. It says our data is normally distributed. I like using the Anderson-Darling test. That is the one that I frequently use. Um, and let me just stop this. Let me go back and I just want to stop sharing these tabs. We're going to come back here and I'm going to share a different tab. I have too many tabs open here. Let's just share a different screen. I'm going to share that Chat GPT screen with you. We're going to be clean about this. So here is the data that we're looking for. And wow, look at this. It even gave you the interpretation for the data. I don't remember asking for that, but it gave us the interpretation of the data. This is the data has a mean value of 18.196 with the median slightly lower than 18.1. The most frequently occurring value is 18. What is that known as? The mode. The data is relatively consistent as indicated by the low standard deviation and its low variance. This is beautiful, right? The range of the data is 2.8. Now watch this, folks. I'm going to give it another prompt. You might say, no one's really going to understand that. Despite all those data-driven people out there and those critical thinkers, they're not going to understand this. So describe the results to let's say an eighth grader. We're going to go for an eighth grader, an eighth grade, an eighth grader. and we're just gonna put 8th grader, and let's see what happens. Watch this. I'm expecting this to be really cool. So again, what we're doing, folks, I'm Dan Feliciano from OpEx90. We do Lean Six Sigma training and strategy consulting and all that good stuff. I'm just here showing folks and you how we can use ChatGPT as an analytical tool and how we can use it to help us communicate the results better. We just ran a series of test data in there, and I compared it to my favorite app, my statistical app called DataTab that I love, and the results were right on the money. So here I said, hey, you know what? Describe this data to an 8th grader. And look what it said here. Sure. Here's a simple way to understand the results. Average. If you add up all the numbers, divide it by the number of values you have, that is going to tell us the average. So again, for all those data-driven statistical thinkers that you're talking to, you can say, "Hey, by the way, look, I don't want to embarrass you, but here is what this actually means." Now, let's do something in addition to this, right? You know, when people report averages, I call that the fool's game, right? So let's understand a little bit more about the data. Let's see if it can create a histogram. Create a histogram, and we all know what a histogram is, right? Right? All our data-driven people, you know what a histogram is. Create a histogram from the data that's been provided, from the data that has been provided. Right? Let's see if it does it. So we're clicking OK. And again, we're demonstrating ChatGPT in particular, its ability to do some simple statistical analysis. Oh my God. Look at this. This is a fantastic histogram of our data. This tells us a lot. Look at this. We have this outlier over here, or maybe it isn't an outlier. What is going on here? And check this out. We can download the chart right there. We can expand that chart if we decided to do so. And let's see what the interpretation is. Here is a histogram of the provided data. The x-axis represents the values. The y-axis shows how often those values appear. The bars give you a visual idea of the distribution of your data. As you see, most of the values are clustered around the the value of 18, right? So that is a beautiful thing, right? I can take that and drop it into a presentation. Well, let's try something harder, right? For all our statistical thinkers out there and all our data driven people, I know as a data driven person, you want to see if this can create a box plot chart, right? Because we know that tells us even more information. So let's go back here. I'm a terrible typist. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna copy this again here, right? Copy this, paste it down here. Boom. Create a box plot diagram, and let's just see if it understands what that is, right? Because you data-driven folks know what it is, right? Data box plot diagram from the data provided. Now, I haven't done this, so this can die on me. Oh no, there it is. Holy cow. And it even gives us a description of that box plot diagram of what it is, right? We have our interquartile range that's shown there, it's showing us the variation in our data. Look at this, it has our outlier. Again, we can download this chart. Now tell me this isn't cool, right? So again, we are demonstrating ChatGPT's ability to perform a statistical analysis for us. Now, I wrote down another thing here. Let's see if it can do something even more complicated, right? Let's see if it can create an individual's moving range chart for us. So I'm going to copy and paste that last command, create an individual moving range control chart. Let's see if it can actually do it. Now, the trick to this is it's going to have to calculate the mean. It's going to have to calculate an upper and lower spec limit, which is roughly plus or minus 3 standard deviations from the mean. and then it's going to have to plot the data. Let's see how well it actually does. Now, folks, you can't tell me right now that you're not surprised by at how accurate that this is and the kind of information it's providing to us. So here it's still thinking, I'm a chat GPT plus user, so I should, it should move quickly. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do, we'll leave this and then we're going to go into, oh, look at this. You got to be kidding me. Oh, come on. Oh, this is another reading from the book of Dan. I'm loving this, right? Here we go. It created this control chart for us. It even labeled it, right? The top plot shows the individual values of the data. The green dash line represents the mean value. The red line indicates the upper control limit and the lower control limit. These limits help identify if any values fall outside the expected range. The bottom plot shows the moving range, which is the absolute difference of consecutive values. Look at that. Oh, man. This chart helps to monitor the stability and variability of data over time. Now, come on, folks. Tell me this is not the coolest thing you have seen in a long time, right? So here, we just took a simple set of data and we had Chat GPT create some descriptive statistics. Let's take a scroll back up, a scroll down memory lane, if you will. Here is the prompt that I used, right? Very simple prompt and a very simple set of data. And I said, hey, let's try it out. You know, provide some descriptive statistics. In particular, I want to see the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, the variance, the range, interquartile range, the median, 95% confidence interval of the mean. And you all know why that 95% confidence interval of the mean, right? Now, how many of you are data driven out there? Raise your hands. What's the 95% confidence interval of the mean? Right? This number we're very interested in. Okay, yeah, great. All right, so here, look at it. It did a beautiful job for us. It gave us the data, gave us that 95% confidence interval of the mean. I asked, and it gave us an interpretation of the data, which was beautiful. And then I asked it to explain the data to an eighth grader, and it gave us some very simple descriptions. I asked it to create a histogram. Oh, man, this is beautiful, right? And I understand I can click in here if I wanted to, and I can start editing it. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. It's going to start editing it. I asked it to create a box plot, which is a little more sophisticated. And then I asked it to create a control chart. Oh, let's see if it will do a rain cloud chart. That's fun. Create a rain cloud chart. Now, some of you probably don't know what a rain cloud chart is, but if you go to data tab, I think it's datatab.net, you can put your data in there and it gives you these beautiful rain cloud charts. And let's see if Minitab can do it. I don't suspect that it's going to be able to create a rain cloud chart for us, but let's check it out. It's thinking, it's analyzing the data. Nope, it's not. That's not what I was looking for, right? Data tab does a much better, but this isn't interesting. It's like a scatter plot, if you will. Not quite what we were looking for, but that's okay. I didn't think it was going to be able to do that. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and let's go back and see. What are your thoughts in the chat? Are, is this not the coolest thing, right? The ability to create and do a descriptive statistics with your data and understanding it better and then asking chat gpt, hey, help me out here, help me interpret this data and what it means. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go and open up Claude, which is another model. I'm not going to open up Gemini. I'm not going to open up the Google model. Let's try Claude and see if it can give us the same descriptive statistics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plot that same prompt in there. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to open up. I got to go in here and open up that AI model. Let me go back and get Claude. I'm opening up Claude. I'm going to share that screen. Let me log in with my email address. Give me a second. I wasn't really expecting to do this. I was going to just share with you some simple stuff. But man, you have to admit, this has been really, really cool. So let me go ahead and share that screen with you. I'm going to share Claude, Anthropic, Claude. I'm sharing that screen. Bam! This is Claude. Good afternoon, Dan. What I'm going to do in here is I'm going to find that prompt. You see that? Oh, that's not the prompt. Yeah, hold on. Let me get. I thought that was the prompt. Let me find the prompt that I actually used to enter the data in here. So here is the prompt, right? Perform descriptive statistic analysis. Let's see how well Claude does. Again, Claude is another example of a large language model that exists. And bam, look at this. Holy cow, it has given us a great result here. This is the no cost version of Claude or the low cost or no cost. And you can see I still think it had great histogram. The histogram in here is not quite as cool. But look, it did all the calculations. It described the calculations to us. Let's see which test for the normal distribution. Again, it looked at the Shapiro-Wilk test, right? I like the Anderson-Darling test. That's what I typically use. This was an attempt of a histogram. Wasn't that great, but it was still an interesting showing, right? So we can get a look at that data and see what it looks like. So not too bad, right? We could ask it questions. So what were your thoughts, right? So we just took a quick look at Claude, and we have to admit that was pretty cool, right? That data, its ability to look at those large language models was kind of cool. And guess what, right? So it looks as if my computer is actually freezing up on me. I should have stopped all these apps I had running in the background. There's another app out there that is super, super fast. It's called Grok. It's another large language model that we're going to use. Again, I'm Dan Feliciano from OpEx90. Do Lean Six Sigma training, strategic consulting, right? I have a fantastic strategy bot out there that if you're a consultant, you might be interested in using. And right now we're just experimenting with AI with the AI tools to see how well they can analyze and describe our data. As you know, I'm a huge fan of AI and automation, and I've been studying and keeping a close eye on it to see what kind of skills are going to be required in the future and which jobs are out of here, right? So, any type of job that is just rules based or like basic decision making, keeping track of things is gone, right? Project management, accounting, bookkeeping, legal, anything in government probably can go out the window, right? They're just answering questions for you and you're still liable for the results. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up Grok and we're going to see how well Grok does with the data that we're actually looking for. So, let me come in here. I'm I don't want you seeing my whole screen, my whole setup here. It'll scare you. You start seeing all the stuff that I've been doing with ChatGPT. You'll be running for the hills. Now, Grok will give us, I'm going to share that screen with you right now. Grok will give us the ability to pick and use other large language models. And we'll go through some of these large language models. Right now, let's see. Let's go with Llama 3. Llama 3, as you know, is made by Meta, formerly known as Facebook or whatever. What I'm going to do in here is I'm going to drop this same prompt in here that we used earlier. Oh, hold on, it's not seeing it. I might have dropped the wrong prompt. Let me up. I didn't put the right prompt in there. Give me a second. I'm going to put the right prompt in there. It's not taking that prompt, so it's having a hard time. Let me do this. Um, Let me do this. I'm going to grab the data from another place and just let's see how well we can do here. So I'm having a little problem. I never had this problem before. Copy paste. It looks like it's cutting off the the earlier version, the beginning. So guess what? We're not going to use prompt, right? So chat, if we weren't able to confidently, you know, download the data that we're actually looking for. For some reason, it's hiccuping out. It has a hiccup going on. I'm going to try just one more time. We're not quitters here. We're opening up Gronk. I'm going to select everything. Oh, let me do this. It's freezing up. Let's see if I can just drop this in here and see what happens. Yeah, so we're having a little problem with this. So Grok, it may not be working that great. It's a really fast processor, and that's just another one of the large language models that exist out there. So again, what I was just trying to demonstrate, and I think we've successfully done so, is to demonstrate the ability of these large language models to do some simple statistical analysis, and that was fairly complicated, right? We had to create a histogram. It described it. It was beautiful, right? It was nice and colorful. I bet you we could have changed the color of that histogram. We asked it to create an individual's moving range chart for us, right? A control chart. We asked it to do a rain cloud. We didn't expect it to be able to do a rain cloud chart, but it was still interesting. Let's go back and check it out and say, "Hey, look, I need to create a simple report on that data. Can you help me write a simple report that describes the data that we've seen?" Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. That's the model we're going to use. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to share my ChatGPT window with you. Bam! And here is the results that we've seen. And I'm going to say, create a report that describes the data for a meeting that I have for an upcoming meeting. What do you think it's going to do? And remember, now it's only as good as the instructions we give it, right? Most people put in crappy prompts, get crappy results, and then they complain, right? It's like buying crappy ingredients and expecting to have a gourmet meal, right? Use markdown language, markdown style, because we want this report to pop, right? Markdown style, bolding, and italics, right? Let's see what it does. Now, is that how you write your prompt? Data analysis report. Here it comes. Wow, an overview. It provides the data set provided, the summary statistics, an interpretation of the values. Look at that. It's using bolding for us. Remember, I said use bolding. I don't see any italics in here. It looks like it's choking, right? Something happened here. The box plot didn't quite come out. That could be, any number of reasons, but we could probably include it in here later on. But here we can just grab that data and put that box plot right in there. So we can do again all sorts of all sorts of cool things. Let's ask it a more technical question. What proportion of the data is? Let's look at our data. The mean is 18. Where's the standard deviation? 18. Let's ask it what proportion of the data is greater than 19. What proportion? All right, proportion of the data. All right, here we go. Now it's thinking, right? It has to do a little more statistical analysis, right? Right now, It's calculating the normal probability function and the density, right? All you data-driven guys out there, and folks, you know what that is. So here it says, the proportion of data that is greater than 19 is roughly 8%. So what it had to do is it had to create a normal probability plot from the mean and the standard deviation, and then I had to go out, calculate the z-score for 19, and then figure out what that portion was. So pretty cool. It did. It came back with a result that a pretty cool result. So again, here's what we were doing today. We were just trying to understand the computational power of the large language models. We did this both in Anthropic, which is Claude, the Claude model, and ChatGPT, and you can see the results are fairly impressive, right? So you can see why I'm so big on using ChatGPT. I even had it create a report, and I said, "Give me bolding, right? Create list," and it generated a beautiful report. And then we can have it describe the metrics. It described the metrics to an eighth grader so that anybody can read it, including your data-driven management team, right? So it's a pretty cool thing. So again, Dan Feliciano from OpEx90, right? Check me out on the web. Follow along. I'm going to be doing more of these sessions about how we can use AI for critical thinking, complex problem solving, data literacy, including statistical thinking, data analysis, innovation, and my favorite, strategic thinking. Look on ChatGPT if you're on there. If you need a strategy app to do a strategic assessment, check out my app. It does pretty good. Check me out on the web. I'm at OpEx90.com. That's OPX90.com. And hey, give me a call. Connect, join, link, follow. I'm on LinkedIn, right? I have 22,000 followers on LinkedIn. And that's where you might be able to find me, not just on Facebook, not just on Twitch or Trovu or Rumble. I'm all over, right? So just follow me and we'll keep you in mind and get the alerts for these next messages for my live streams that go live. So again, Dan Feliciano from OpEx90, critical thinking, complex problem solving, data literacy, data analysis, innovation, strategic thinking, the skills that are going to be required that you can learn right here, right? Learn it right here, right now, before you get leveraged out of your job by AI. We're going to start talking about chat bots too. I have some amazing chat bots that you can use to help you with your knowledge management and your analysis and knowledge bases. So that's it for now, folks. I just wanted to create a quick video. Follow along. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give me a buzz follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. I'm everywhere. Just keep an eye out.